Welcome to Hybris Conversations. My name is Suresh Kochatil. Today we have with us two bright young sparks of the Hyderabad advertising scenario, Rajiv Dhawan and Harini. Two good old friends of mine who have run a boutique agency. What's in a name? Yes, that's the name of the agency. And of course, they have many side part of it also which run along with that, which is adjunct to the main business that they do. To discover more about what they do and how they are surviving and prospering in this present scenario, let's ask and chat with them a few questions and get a few answers as well. Welcome to the show, Rajiv.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So the most starting an obvious question, I'm sure you would have heard this over the last month and a half, is how has COVID impacted your business?
So the answer to that in a nutshell is that it has impacted a lot in multiple ways, and there are a lot of positive impacts also. I'd like to specify that, and of course there are some new emerging challenges also. So that is how it has impacted us. We can get into more.
Yeah. So Harini, when you look at the advertising scenario, one of the lowest hanging fruits always is the ad agency. Right. You know, along with of course event management and many other adjunct businesses. Chop and chop. That's the first thing that comes out whenever there's a crisis. But what is your take on what agencies actually should be doing in the current scenario?
So, on something that we have also experienced for the first time in 10 years of running the agency is how important is digital in this pandemic situation? How can the agencies be relevant? So, luckily we transformed, all thanks to Rajiv and the team. So, we transformed ourselves into a complete integrated house, I would say in 2012. So, we started in 2010. We took about 2 years to learn it ourselves, create a web development team, then the social media team, then the digital team, and then completely transformed ourselves into a full-fledged integrated digital house. So, in terms of obviously, like sir quoted, marketing is the first budget cut any brand would look to in current scenario or anytime any pandemic happens actually. So, the relevance that agencies can bring to table is obviously coming up with new ideas for brands to ensure their end customers are aware of what the brand is doing pre-pandemic, during the lockdown, post the lockdown. Now things have opened up, and using digital as the powerful communication tool. I think that's the only way to go ahead, because now we are seeing omni channels where even the physical stores are getting online. So they have woken up for the fact that online is going to be the online has always been the future, but now they will actually act upon that it is the future.
So Rajiv, the most obvious question, I know this is, I've been working with you folks when I was in my previous job, and that time too I think there was a lot of stress on digital that was happening in your agency. Yes. It is not that you were caught unprepared at this point in time. The pandemic did come, but I think the pandemic also presents an opportunity, because the ones who are not ready will definitely not survive this crash. So, what's your take on digital? Because it's a very fancy item, you know. Yes. This is like something that has come out of the blue or something. I think we Indians were always clued into digital, isn't it? Yes.
So, I mean, there are so many examples and so many things that have happened in digital, and it has been evolving in the last few years. But again, there are a lot of businesses who've been, not really okay to transform fully into digital or give it the kind of attention and value it deserves. Because probably they're still wanting to continue with their old processes. But I think this pandemic has reiterated the fact that if you are not moving ahead with the times, then you'll perish, and it's extremely important. So things that would have ideally in a generic scenario taken another 5 years where we would reach in terms of digital will now probably happen in the next 6 months to 1 year, because even the guys who were not that inclined towards digital are now waking up to it, and they just want to speed up things and be there. So this is what we've been seeing. Another interesting thing that we've noticed during the pandemic, during the lockdown, is where of course, we are of the opinion very clearly that just because your business is shut or your business has taken a pause does not mean that your branding also needs to take a pause. So there are ways to do this. A lot of big national brands have done great stuff around this during the lockdown, and some regional brands also have done interesting things, but again, obviously not most of them could utilize this challenge and get the best out of it. So but we have had certain examples where we thought maybe a lot of work will pause, but we have not faced that much of an issue, thanks to a lot of our clients who trust in us and who understood that this is a temporary thing. It will come to a type of normalcy soon, and when it does, then again it will be of a out of sight out of mind sort of a scenario. So we've done some interesting campaigns during this time. In fact, we've been our most productive during these 2 months 3 months of lockdown.
Okay, Harini, that brings me to the question is, are clients ready to change? Because quite often the problem is often with the clients who are not ready to adapt and change. Correct. So is that problem there? Because when you talk to them in a brick and mortar model, correct, and try and bring them onto a digital platform, they're still used to the old methodology, isn't it?
Yes,
That's
sir.
the question I had.
So yes, we there are a lot of people who are not wanting a change in a regular scenario, but right now the scenario that we are in, it's not a regular scenario. They have understood that if they don't change, they will perish. So now it's not more of education from our end. Otherwise, we generally spend countless amount of hours in educating them why they should be online, how they should keep it relevant, how they should come up with offers, discounts, loyalty programs, so many things to keep their brand on par with the competition, which is far ahead. So in terms of right now, what I would suggest, we feel is people understand that they have to change, otherwise they can even shut down. So that's why it is a little more easier to get them there. But obviously the spends, one thing that I would address is the spends and the media budgets have gone considerably low in this scenario. Ideally, we would have got a new budget in March, April, we would have seen a new media plan, but all that is paused.
Maybe even the financial year will change
Yes,
now.
the financial year will change now.
So the question, Rajiv, is you might get your digital strategy right. You might even advise your clients right, but there is another end of it, which is the delivery platform, for which you have no control on. Sometimes even the client has no control on. Because if you look at the likes of Amazon and Flipkart and others, it is the final mile, the delivery, that often is a problem. Yes. So if you're delivering vegetables, for example, if you don't deliver it fresh, yes, and you had it. Yes. The same may not exist for staples and books and electronics, but to a large extent on the perishables part of it. Yes, yes. So in such a scenario, I mean, do you even get into that part of it to understand the client's entire backend, yes, say the warehousing part of it also? Yes.
We have been extremely involved in our clients' businesses from the word go, from the very beginning, and that's because we are of the understanding that if you don't know what your client is doing in terms of his business, his strategies, his backend, then you will not be able to give it your best shot in terms of marketing. So we've been doing that since always, but what has happened now is because of this pandemic, there are so many things happening. There's a lot of noise also in terms of a lot of businesses are just wanting to immediately, instantly shift online, right? Become an e-commerce store from a brick and mortar, which is kind of not the right direction to move in. And it is also scary. It could be highly counterproductive as well. So we clearly warn them that if you do not have your backend inventory processes, your softwares, your other things in place, your delivery to the last mile, like you mentioned, then there's no point in just jumping the wagon just because some of the others are in better shape. You should have done this a while back, but better late than never. Now that you're here, what we're trying to do is we've segregated clients who are already in a space where they can run their business online and stuff, B, who are the typical retailers and brick and mortar units which are not fully ready in terms of getting online orders and all of that. So we're trying to help them to take baby steps to reach there and not just jump into it. Like we've added things like click and shop, where some part of the order and selection happens online, and then it can be picked up from the stores, so that will cut down on the delivery and inventory issues and those kind of things. So these are the small solutions that we are bringing onto the table, where we are helping them make sure that don't rush into it. That's extremely important.
Harni, you can still buy a phone off the online, you can buy a book online, but take a shoe, or a footwear for that matter, any footwear brand for that matter. It's a touch and feel issue, isn't it? You have to wear it, you have to walk around with it. So how do you convince your customers, your end buyers, that it's good to buy a shoe off the rack, or do you buy it online?
So, sir, if you actually look at it now, that's why the giants like Myntra and few other smaller segment e-commerce players, they have this thing of try and buy as an option, because a lot of people would like to try their size, because today for a woman specifically, some people like to wear it one size more when it comes to a longer heels. Some people want to wear it extremely fitted so that it's comfortable for them to walk. So that's why they have this option of try and buy, where they'll get the shoe pairs to your house and you can actually try and then choose whether to buy or not. So keeping the safety aspects today, the safety, a lot of things that are revolving around this. How safe is it for me to go and touch five people must have touched? Is it every time can I sanitize the shoe? So those kind of scenario. And to be honest, we are doing a lot of work from home. There are no parties, there are no places to go. I am hoping that this splurge shopping is going to take a hit, like shoes for women specifically.
Yeah, I think that's one of the scenarios we're looking at, because even though now the unlock 1.0 is on and maybe 2.0 will come, but we're also seeing cases going on and on increasing, but I think we've got to live with it. That's the only option that we've been told. Yes. Now, coming to the scenario like that, when you look at a calendar from right now, many people, when I spoke to them in the MSME sector, said 6 months, some people said 1 year, some people said 3 months. There are different timelines being said as to when the thing would all be done and we would go back to the old thing. Do you think we'll ever go back to the old thing?
Yes.
I would like to disagree there, because I think the scenarios or the situation that we faced during this pandemic has taught us so much, so many things. It has not just told us, it did not just bring in new challenges, but it has also pointed out very clearly where companies, brands, businesses were weak and where they should have been stronger way before this pandemic ever came up. So personally, I feel we will never be able to go back to where we were pre-pandemic. Things will move towards normalcy. There'll be a vaccine out someday. We will get better, but people will have to continue to do some part of this for good, and that is for the better of the businesses and brands and the customers alike. So that is my take.
Like for example, we were discussing that we were always of the thought process for last 10 years that have a quality team and not a quantity game. We never played the quantity game. So today if you see, people are out of jobs and slashed and all of those things. So now it was Rajiv's call, and I always used to tell him, let's hire. He'll be like, okay, let's wait. Now if I actually look back, we wouldn't have been able to survive this a little easier if you would have had it's so difficult to just let go of people, because when it's not their performance issue. So we always can let go of people with a performance issue, not because of a world pandemic that will come and do a pay cut just for the heck of doing a pay cut. So we hear that from a lot of agencies have done that, because it's not possible as well, it's not practical. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it's morally right.
So agencies also have had their share of huge challenges, because we are also from the MSME segment, and we are catering to a lot of businesses. So it's a very B2B, or rather human to human sort of a scenario. But we have been a little orthodox in our thought process when it came to a few things. We were very clear that we will not have even a single person more than what we need. even if that resource is an intern, even if we don't have to pay that resource, we just don't want headcounts in our company. I have in fact earlier even written a blog called The Illusion of Headcounts, because it's very easy to get into that trap. And we've seen agencies who've done crazy amounts of hiring in the past, and because of this situation they had to lay off at least 60%, 70% people. And honestly, we don't have that kind of work in Hyderabad. It's not that big a market that you need, so many people. If you have the right team, if you have good team, you have good people, you can manage. In our case, luckily, we did not have to lay off a single person. We've just bought time a little for some part of salary for some people. And we want to make sure that we continue in this way.
That's the toughest part. I think both of you will agree with me, is that to get the right kind of people.
Yes.
You might get advertising people, so as to speak of, in the traditional mode. But to get digital experts, most of them, India doesn't even have a full-fledged digital marketing course done by the major universities. Some of them have started in the last few years, but there has now been an anticipation of this kind of scenario.
Yes.
Nobody ever thought that entire nation could get locked in for 2 months.
Yes.
It was not even there in plan A, nor plan B, or not even plan C.
Yes.
So in such a scenario, is it difficult getting people? Because you rightly said that you keep your count low. But is it really difficult? Is it easy to get people, or is it tough to get people to take up these roles?
So it's extremely difficult to get the right people. I would say that, like, you can get a lot of resources, but getting resources who are good at what they do, they know their subject matter, is for sure a challenge for everybody. In fact, in most businesses. In our case, what we do is we focus a lot on training them in-house. And if we go back a little, we discussed about how we transformed as an agency, which most people have not done. We were very clear that if the bosses, if the owners do not have any digital understanding and they are just going to blindly hire a team, or just, maybe outsource it wherever, it's not a long-term game. You will face a lot of challenges, and this pandemic has just more than proven us right in that space. So in our case, it was very important first for Harini and me to be very clear that how can we upskill ourselves, because we are expecting the clients to move, we are expecting the world to move, but are we moving? That is the big question. And because we were able to do that, even if our team is, when we hire a resource, even if they're not like 100%, we purely look for attitude. If the attitude is right, we take them in and we train them, and every single person in our team has been upskilled to a great degree. And that is one of our achievements, we feel, because we know what we are doing. Amongst the two of us, we can execute a complete digital campaign for any client end to end without the help of anybody else. So we made sure that we came to that stage, and then we slowly transformed. So that has helped us a lot in terms of getting the right.
In fact, even identifying the talent, like earlier, if the interviews in the beginning were taking 30 minutes, now in 5 minutes he will decide whether this guy can, and he can ask how much ever he wants, how much ever experience they come from. And it's like the hiring has become very quick, I would feel, because we can actually hold them on any technical question. So that I think we are confident of that way to even train our current team, and people who had even, people who actually who joined us. We have old people who are a part of our team where we were only doing print, and now then when we transferred, even that person is now a complete digital designer, right?
That's what the point is, because end of the day, when you really look at as I talked up in the last mile problem, is also the acceptance from the clients. Many of the clients would be the second generation, or even sometime maybe the first generation. Possibly the second and the third generation would be far more adaptable to going digital. Because end of the day, the old generation believes the good old way of selling. So, when you look at a clash of cultures, and I'm sure you have clients like this, you are stuck between first and second generation. How do you really convince both of them?
Yes. So because they have seen different times and they come from different school of thought, it's extremely difficult to bring them all on the same page. But one thing that we've realized is that if you're very honest with what you're trying to convey, and the client, they could be first generation, second generation, or just starting up, any scenario, if they're very clear on what's in it for them and they're clear on how this can help them, they do buy the point, and then obviously it's completely on us to show them results, and that is where the biggest issues come in. I don't think it is right to even say that, you know, the first generations don't understand and those kind of things also, probably because a lot of them have been given a lot of false promises that we'll do this, we'll do that, and then it doesn't happen. So how can you expect somebody to transform when they are unable to see proper results and they are unable to see promises being kept?
Yeah, Harni, I mean, in terms of delivering the final point to the client, I mean, that's where I think the push comes, you know, almost to the signing edge when the client has to sign those budgets, and suddenly he looks back and says, should I sign this or not? I mean, how do you push it over that? Where does the tipping point come in?
So basically there are two things to this. So one is that to adding to what Rajiv said in terms of the results. Today, so we both of us have the same ideology. We don't try to push them on, you know, take it or leave it. Like only if you spend an X amount, you're going to get an X result. We always tell them that you're a first. We understand your business must be 25 years old, but in digital, this is your first step. So take a small step. We are okay with it. We are not going to give you like heavy budgets that you'll be assuming whether I should take a print ad versus this, and those kind of comparisons then come into play. Should I do a month-long radio campaign or should I spend on digital? So we have these kind of comparisons even now. So what we technically do is more like a short exercise for the first timers, where we tell them that you spend a basic amount, though an optimum amount, that's the word, optimum amount, and tell them that this is the expected results. So in the market, just for a flamboyance point of view, today we will see your keywords will come in first month 10, and any client who actually asks Rajiv or me or anybody in our team, we don't take up those kind of clients because they are themselves short vision, and we don't want to work with brands who kind of expects things that are not possible.
You can't do the magic.
We can't do the magic.
I think
things,
Sorry. I think it's about being very clear, and
honest,
we are very
like
clear that we don't want to overpromise. Even if that's your expectation, even if that's a big letdown for you, we do not want to overpromise.
So under promise and over deliver.
Yes, that's our and that's where we come from. That's our school of thought. Also, the fact being that there are a lot of people who will come and say, "Oh, I'll do this, I'll do that." We are not from that school of thought, and that is probably one of the big reasons why most of our clients are 8-10 years old with us. They're still
Rajiv, I remember very interestingly, leave alone the old school of thought and the old businesses, you're also part of the T-Hub, and you do mentor startups and all there. Can you tell us what exactly are these startups now thinking? Because from what I heard is some of them have run short of cash, some of them are expecting a business model to change, and anyway 95% of startups will fail. But when you look at and when you start advising them, what do you tell them?
So for me, I think because we were also a startup and we've come from a space where, you know, we had very, very, very tight budgets. We did not even know if we would survive another 5 days. We came from there. So I understand the importance of every penny that these startups want to spend. So for me, though I help them from branding and digital marketing point of view, but I always tell them that my end goal is to make sure that you do not waste a single penny anywhere. So there have been startups where, for instance, their business is not very relevant in these times. For instance, they were into F&B and all, and during the lockdown, they were running some big campaigns and all that because they have their funding, etc. I said, no, you need to stop this. You can do a little bit of promotion about your brand, do some branding exercise and integrate it with a positive message in terms of lockdown, but you don't need to hard sell and try to get leads and all of that, because it's not going to work. The country is at home, so you can't expect that to happen, and you have to cut down those budgets right away. 3 months down the line, when things begin to improve, then you'll have to look at. And while we are doing this, I've also told them and helped them make sure that there is a good change in their business plans as well, because now that has to be relooked. Every single person from any business has to relook at their business plan, because today there is this pandemic. Maybe 10 years down the line we'll have something else, or 5 years down the line we'll have something else. So we cannot always be reactive to these things. We'll have to be proactive and be ready for whatever comes.
So when you look at the future and predict, I'm not asking you to crystal gaze or be a Nostradamus here, but when you look at, both of you are optimists, I know that we'll all ride through this storm. But looking back, when you look at the entire scenario where we went January and now you are in somewhere in June, how do you think, what kind of lessons have we learned from the entire thing? Because there was no expectation of this. You could predict an earthquake, you could predict a tsunami, but you could never predict a pandemic.
So personally, our company also, we've also had certain areas that we were completely against. For instance, work from home is something that we've been extremely against, and we've never had it in the last 10 years. This was also a learning for us to understand, if this happens again, how do we make sure work from home happens? Because though we did good amount of work in these 2 months of lockdown, but we had a lot more challenges. So our plan would be going forward how to make it a lot more simpler, get rid of all the complexities, and how to deliver in a smoother way. So that is something that's a learning for us as a company.
So that's what, Harini, so how do you take it then from there?
So I think on a personal front, Rajiv and I keep discussing, it's one common topic we speak about for the last.
I think you make a great team, isn't it? I think the kind of symbiotic relationship that you have.
So I think we are more friends. So we know we have to not cross the professional line, but I think the comfort level, the trust level comes from the whole foundation that we are very close friends. So that becomes easier in working as well. Though he has a share of we do that only from a work standpoint. Personally, we don't. That's what we keep discussing. We never ever fight when it comes to personal differences. It's always the work that gets the worst of us. So having to add to the question that to answer the question that you had asked, sir, it's like, I think for us collectively, we feel that we never used to take our work, even a single creative, easy earlier. And now we are telling our team to be 100% more careful about it. It's like, how do you count each day grateful? It's about getting every job today. You have to be grateful for every work that you get. And you have to deliver it with, maybe earlier the percentage we used to tell is 120, now I tell them 200%. Okay. So they have to deliver with that kind of gratitude, more than getting it perfect and everything. You have to be thankful that today you have a job, you have you get work, and we both have always been like that. The pandemic has not changed us, but I think everybody should take that up as a very, very serious thing, that everything should be taken in a very, very, tomorrow we don't know what's going to happen. So today you have certain things to do, you do it at the best of your capabilities, probably do an extra mile. You don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And a lot of kindness, I think little smaller things, people have to get more kinder. We do see that it has changed people in a good way, and some people have not changed about it. That's quite shocking. That's what we keep discussing. They have to get, we can't live with the same attitude, we can't live with the same thought process. It has to change towards everybody who you work with, you get associated with. Respect is of utmost importance, and you have to be thankful. That's the larger word. That's the ultimate word. You have to be thankful for everything that you have today.
I think somewhere along the way, I think as I close this discussion, is that the pandemic has brought us down to the earth, if you ask me, because a lot of us were flying sky high, and as they say in Hindi, "Aasman pe udne wale mitti mein mil jayega." It really happened that way with many big companies, who they thought they could not be touched, and suddenly they all have been ground to the dust, and that I think is a big lesson.
So another thing I wanted to mention is that where a lot of people were reluctant to adapt. That is something which will be big now, because if you're not ready to adapt, you're not ready to change, then you will have a lot more difficulties when in the future. I mean, I wanted to give your example for this, where you come from a print background, but for me, I think you're one of the best examples on how you've left that a little behind, and you've understood how digital works, and you kind of make waves in digital. You're even working for a digital news channel, and you're not stuck to what was being done in the past. So there's a seamless transformation, and this transformation is something which is required by every single business head, every single owner, to understand how to do it seamlessly. There is in no way do do we say that, okay, print is irrelevant or anything that happened in the past is irrelevant. We're not saying that. We're just saying that you need to add a few more things to make this a better dish.
In fact, that's what Rajiv mentioned was very clear, because I remember 10 years ago, or maybe 11 years ago now, when we first started with the first online appointment for Apollo hospitals called Apollo eDoc, there were very few takers, very few takers. And even when I formally handed it over to the new team about 4 years ago, even then we were not really sure. But suddenly this pandemic, everybody wants to be on telemedicine, everybody wants to be on remote healthcare. I think people have learned that you don't really need to go to a kind of an OPD always. You can always do a consultation online. I think that's a learned lesson, not just for the healthcare. I think it's also there for other sectors now, where people will start calling and checking in these days when everybody has a smartphone and everybody has on a WhatsApp and other communication tools like Zoom.
In fact, we have also signed up new clients during the lockdown. And it's so amazing because it was beyond our expectation. We've signed up these clients without meeting them. We just met them online. We presented everything online. We discussed everything online. Monies were credited online and the work began.
I think we both share. I mean, Hybis and What's in a Name share, because we also picked up a significant amount of our clients online during this pandemic. They came to us out of nowhere and said, you guys are in digital and why don't you handle this for us? And that's where I think we brought forth our strength, our competence, just as you did, because you invested a lot in the time when nobody invested in digital.
We've had some of our best campaigns. We even got our first campaign on Ads of the World, which is a huge platform for international advertising and all, which was done, created, conceptualized, everything during the pandemic only. During the lockdown. It was during the lockdown and it was about the lockdown. And it got great virality online. Also, a lot of work that was done during the lockdown. I mean, at least for us, I think when I had my first meeting with the team, which was a virtual meeting, I told them clearly, see, things are bad. We don't know how this will shape up in the future. But what I know for sure is we should not let this deter us from our goal. We have to make sure that we make full use of this opportunity and we give it our best shot. And tomorrow when we look back, we should feel that we've done some of our best work during a time where others were absolutely not working at all.
Exactly.
So that has helped us, and I'm glad that I have a team which I'm extremely proud of, and they've been helping us and standing by us all the time. We're just representing them. But to have the right team also is a big deal in today's times. And they all stepped up. Every single person stepped up and started performing more than what they were doing earlier. Wonderful. And I think that is what all of us have to do for every business. And then we will be able to get out of this and move towards normalcy sooner.
I think, Rajiv, a lot of things what you said actually sink in with what we do. I remember March 27th when the lockdown started, 26th, 27th. We went on the field, and I personally remember I was on the field with my team, with my camera teams and my team of editors. And we made sure that, every day we generated stories, and it was a risk to be out there in the field. It was not easy sitting at home. So I remember, except for Sundays, we worked every day and we brought out stories. And I think that paid off in the end, because a lot of our clients who are coming to us today are those clients who saw those news, who saw those discussions and said, can you handle this for us? And that's how the branding game started.
Absolutely. In fact, the one thing I told my team was that it is very easy to be the best when things are going great for you. If you can be the best during this lockdown, then we can claim that, we are the best in reality. So
we are the champions.
Yes.
Harini and Rajiv, I think you both have brought forward your professional association to the fore very well. I think it's very rare to find a team working together, two individuals who are strong in their opinions at keeping their businesses together and keeping their emotions apart. I think you both have really brought to the fore. Thank you, Rajiv and Harini, for speaking to us at Hybis Conversation. It's been a pleasure listening to both of you. You sound like veterans in this field, even though you've been here for only a decade. But I'm sure the kind of relationship that you've built up with clients and with your team that you're speaking so proudly of really reflect a lot in what we all do. Really proud and wonderful speaking to both of you.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Harini and Rajiv from What's in a Name. That's the agency they represent and the team they represent. When the chips are down, that is when your performance is called into question. And if you do well, then, as they say, we are the champions. Thank you for watching.